Facebook has three major problems going against them: Apple, the government, and massive future expenses. Facebook's weakness has always been its relationship with Apple. See, the problem with Facebook is that they don't own the hardware or the app store that the app is on. They're basically renting space from the phone developers, and at any point, the phone developer could kick them off the platform. That's a major problem when over 45% of Americans use iPhone, and almost 50% of Facebook's revenue comes from the United States and Canada alone. So in many ways, Facebook is a slave to Apple, and that creates another problem. On one hand, you have Apple trying to make more and more data private, and on the other hand, you have Facebook trying to get access to as much data as possible in order to improve its ad-based targeting. That's why Apple's iOS privacy changes are the iceberg that's sinking Facebook's ship. And Facebook's management team, they know this. Apple's changes to its IDFA policy pose a unique threat to Facebook. Apple has turned off IDFA by default, requiring customers to explicitly turn it on. So what are IDFAs, and why are they so important? IDFAs are assigned to every device and help advertisers to track user interaction and behavior, and create user profiles for more targeted messaging across your devices, while helping to assess the success of specific marketing strategies. So these changes that Apple has introduced are a big deal to Facebook. Even though people can always opt in, these default settings matter. Given the bad press that IDFAs have, most users are going to keep their IDFA settings at default, and evidence suggests that that has been the case. As of April 2022, just 25% of people have opted in to IDFAs. The opt-in rate is low even when the opt-in prompt is displayed. Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg explained the impact of Apple's actions on the Q4 2021 earnings call, where she said,
Apple created two challenges for advertisers. One is that the accuracy of our ads targeting decreased, which increased the cost of driving outcomes. The other is that measuring those outcomes became more difficult.
This is important because Facebook has now been forced to offer less insightful data to advertisers. In the past, Facebook's success with IDFA allowed it to offer advertisers the best possible advertising. Advertisers could simply tell the company their targeted return on ad spend, and Facebook would automatically calculate how much the advertiser needed to spend to get that return. But now Facebook can no longer do that as easily, now that so many users have IDFA turned off. And because of this, Facebook estimated that Apple's iOS changes would cost them about $10 billion annually. Now, these kind of things matter. This $10 billion loss will be serious for the company's future, definitely now that privacy is a hot topic, and it's likely that other operating systems will follow Apple's lead. Facebook is now weakened, and the results in the future will show that. Their average revenue per user will drop. In order to compete and stay alive, Facebook has to change its business model. The old Facebook is dead. Government and regulators. Facebook has become one of the most hated companies in the world. This is one of the major problems with Facebook. Governments simply don't trust them. This is a big deal for a company like Facebook. See, what's propelled Facebook over the years is not Facebook, but instead its timely acquisitions such as Instagram and WhatsApp, which have added great value to the company. However, the Cambridge Analytica scandal led regulators to get rid of a key value driver. Facebook is under de facto sanctions from the Federal Trade Commission, which has essentially signaled that it will not approve any major acquisitions by Facebook. So, for example, when ByteDance was thinking about selling TikTok to an American company, Facebook was not in the conversation. Plus, the FTC is pursuing a case in which it alleges that Facebook pursues a bury or buy acquisition strategy. So the prospect of any meaningful deal in the near term is very unlikely. For a company that's very innovative, this wouldn't really be a problem. But Facebook has shown that they struggle to innovate and is constantly dependent on acquiring its competitors as a form of growth. But without the ability to make acquisitions so easily, Facebook is struggling to grow, and younger users are starting to switch to apps like TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube. This is important for advertisers who budget their spending based off where they believe their money will most efficiently be deployed. Facebook's competitive advantage for a long time has been simple. Advertising on its platform got advertisers on the biggest platform in the world, while also giving advertisers the ability to precisely target exactly who they wanted to advertise to. But with Facebook's declining market fit has come an erosion of its sustainable competitive advantage. Future expenses. Facebook's current operating expenses are $79 billion, with a revenue of $119 billion. Once everything is accounted for, they have about $50 billion in free cash flow every year. Having so much free cash flow is a great thing, but Facebook's expenses are expected to start increasing heavily. Facebook's desire to build the metaverse will cost them a lot, and that's where we start to get into trouble. Facebook knows that there will only be one company that controls the metaverse. It's unlikely that multiple companies will all partner on this, and it's unlikely that it will be entirely open sourced. Someone has to be in charge, and Facebook wants it to be them. Mark Zuckerberg has bet the company's future on the metaverse. He understands that the core business is dying. Zuckerberg's keynote last year, he acknowledged that Facebook is building technology that does not yet exist. The company is already spending over $10 billion a year on the metaverse. The metaverse requires radical innovation in semiconductors, data centers, and network computers. And right now, no one knows how to get there. Currently, there are simply not enough chips to make the metaverse happen. Not to mention, the supercomputing power needed to make the metaverse happen is years away from development. The processing power simply does not yet exist, and likely will not exist for the next few years. So Facebook has reached a point where its very viability can be called into question. The company has struggled to innovate. User growth is falling. Those IDFA policies have destroyed Facebook's old business model. Regulators have taken away Facebook's ability to buy value, and its future relies on innovations that have not yet been made or proven. The odds suggest that Facebook is becoming a declining legacy business with very large future expenses. So when looking at Facebook, the company finds itself in two positions: divest the metaverse and strengthen its dying core business, or increase investments in the metaverse and hope they become a winner in this new sector. It clearly looks like Facebook is focusing more of their attention on the latter, as they have invested heavily in the metaverse and even changed their name to Meta. And this is my biggest concern about the company. Facebook has long had a business model with relatively little competition. They were the king in the social media sector, but every time Facebook has tried to truly innovate or do something new, they seem to fail. Just look at the Facebook phone, Facebook's Libra coin, and their ability to compete with TikTok. All failures. But even with this bad track record, Facebook is now staking the future of their company on the belief that they could win in the creation of the metaverse. But is Facebook really ready to compete with Apple and Microsoft, two companies that are bigger, more experienced, and have far more cash to invest? Now, some may argue that the metaverse will not be heavily controlled by one entity, but instead it will be like the internet, a globally distributed network comprising of many private and public networks, operating without a central governing body. But if that were the case, if the metaverse is going to be decentralized and globally independent like the internet, the potential profits to be made would be too heavily spread thin over time, and the people who would make the real money would not be the creators of the metaverse, but instead, it would be the people creating things in the metaverse, very much like the internet. So either way, I don't see the creation of the metaverse to be a very wise venture for the future of Facebook. Definitely when the company's core business is weakening. The metaverse will be expensive, full of competition, and if one organization doesn't own it, profits will be heavily spread thin. But I guess only time will tell. Personally, I think Facebook should focus more of their attention on trying to beat TikTok and YouTube before they try to beat Apple and Microsoft. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think the future of Facebook will look like? Do you think they'll go bankrupt, or do you think they'll win in the metaverse? And please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Peace.